Hi, T.
Hey,
How
hey,
how are you?
I am doing awesome. I love this cohesion we have going. We match energies, we're matching outfits. Can't get any better than that.
It's so great to have you. I am so excited. First of all, I'm so excited that I got to meet you through our little entrepreneur mastermind community. It's been such a cool journey to get to know you, learn your work. Um, Thank you for saying yes for being here today.
Of course, thank you for asking me. This is going to be incredible. It's a
Of
subject that I think many people are hesitant to talk about, and I think it's really important, especially these days.
Absolutely. So, the thing I loved about your work, and I just felt like there were just such synergies between the work you're doing to empower men and the work that I'm doing to try to highlight, mental illness and getting more men to be open about well-being. So I was super
Mm.
excited when you said yes. I know that this topic today is a little bit going it's going to be a little bit of physical and mental health, but overall, the theme here is about male vulnerability and authenticity. And I think whenever we talk about that, it's just like it's one of these things where societal norms have dictated for things for so long. So it'll be a very interesting and I think dynamic conversation. I have questions for you, but you have questions for me, which I love because none of my guests come on my show with questions. So I'm grateful for that. So, before we dive in, just our overall shared goal for this conversation today that I just want to highlight is the fact that we want to make a difference and leave a message behind for any of the men out there who are listening. And so that's exactly what we're up to. So, just a little bit about the series and why I created Michelle's Conversations That Matter. I created the series to really elevate the conversation about mental health and really educate and inspire us with um, people with invisible disabilities, like their personal story, or experts or therapists who can educate us on different types of diagnosis. So that's really why I created the series. I have like, oh my goodness, I feel like I have like 170 episodes now. It's been 2 years, and I'm really out to bring great people like yourself on the show, talk about these important topics, and really empower people. What I get to do every single day is I get to work with organizations to recenter their employees and to really preserve mental health. We live in a pandemic world. So many people are suffering. So I'm really out to create more cultures of compassion and understanding. So that's just a little bit about me for anyone who's here who hasn't met me before. But now we're going to get to know T. So, T, could you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, like who you are, where you live, and what you do.
Absolutely. Well, right now I'm in New York, hoping to change that as soon as humanly possible, but that is a completely different conversation. Um, No, everybody, my name is T. I am a health and wellness coach. I am a mind and body transformation specialist, is how I present myself. And it all started about, I want to say 11 or 12 years ago, where I didn't even have a fraction of the mindset that I do now, and ended up going through a horrible, horrible situation with a breakup. With I thought I was going to get married, and just all of these things compiled. And when that exploded, I dealt with it the only way a immature 20 something year old knew how to do. And that was at 5 o'clock, it was okay to start drinking, right? I had that in my head, and that was a way that I was able to convince myself that everything was okay. At 5 o'clock, everybody knows it's okay to start drinking. I think there's a Bible verse. I think it's in the Bible. It's at 5 o'clock. You can start drinking. So at 4:45, I had a routine. I would put two Miller High Lifes in the freezer so that they would be ice cold for 5 o'clock. After those were polished off, I would open one of the jugs of Carlo Rossi Burgundy, the table wine, and basically drink until I was able to go to sleep and really didn't care about anything anymore. Did this for a little while. And then I realized, okay, from 5 o'clock on, I'm okay. But getting till 5 o'clock still really sucks. And that's when I started trying Xanax
Oh,
during the day. And of course, my naive ass didn't realize that, hey, that Xanax is still going to be in your system at 5 o'clock when you start your drinking routine, right? Um, and that was that complete downward spiral. And I remember the day I woke up zombified, walked to the bathroom mirror, and I had, well, like Forrest Whitaker, I like one wouldn't even one was wide open, one wouldn't open at all, right? And I had two flashes, two reels that played simultaneously in my head, and one was my family looking over a gravestone, and the other one was me living my absolute best life with the body I always dreamed of giving myself, and just the most incredible life. And that next day, I stopped everything.
Oh, wow.
I threw myself into a routine at the gym. Back then, I have been heavily involved in martial arts for over 20 years. So that was more of my training back then. And then over those next few years, I ended up using myself as a human guinea pig, so to speak, to see how I can change my body physically, how I can better my mind, how to clear the cobwebs, how to have that abundant mindset, how to be happy, how to be right. And ended up completely changing my physique. And even though back then I was a licensed massage therapist for work, people started asking me when they would see this complete transformation, T, what in God's name did you do? Show me.
Yeah.
Can you teach me how to do this?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what spawned the idea of, hey, you know what? I'm going to go to National Academy of Sports Medicine, get my certification so that I can legitimately help other people do exactly the same thing that I did.
Amazing. Oh.
And even though, and I'll tell you this right now, and people who follow my Instagram and socials will see, I don't agree with any of the way that those training organizations train people, and I would never train my clients that way. I only did it because I needed the legitimized certificate, whatever. But I think my zing, right, which makes people come to me, is that I've done all these things on myself. So I would never tell you to do something that I've never put myself through. So I should know what happens, if you go through it.
I love I peek around on your Instagram a little bit. I should have done more homework actually, but one of the things I saw which were great were, like first and foremost, you do not forbid yourself from indulging in the things that you love, right? I think we have an illusion that like, oh, if I'm going to get as cut as you, I have got to cut everything good out of my life and I can't enjoy my life, right?
Right. Well, the thing that really bothers me and why I am really trying to set myself apart in the way I present myself is that I think that, and worse over the past few years, are so many fitness gurus or influencers want to make themselves seem like an anomaly. Like, look what I did. You don't have the willpower, or you don't have the drive to do what I did. I go to the gym for 3 hours a day. I eat food that tastes like sawdust, but I don't care. If you want to look like me, that's what you have to do. And in my mind, I'm going, wait a minute.
No.
Look at me. Look at what I do. The whole point is to enjoy life. What you do, helping mental transformations. What I do, helping mental and physical transformations. What's the end goal? The end goal isn't to physically look great, but be miserable.
Right.
The end goal is to look and feel exactly how you love. Right. And everybody's ideal is different. So, the reason why I stopped all the physique photos is because I don't want a potential client to see one of my fitness modeling shots and say, if that's the epitome of health and fitness, I could never do that.
I can't achieve that. I'm defeated before I even get started.
But the truth of the matter is, everybody has their own ideal, their look that would make them feel the best and most confident. And guess what? It might not have to have your abs look like a topographic map of the Himalayas. That might not be your goal. And guess what? You'll still be 100% happy and healthy. You don't need to have that as your avatar.
Totally agree. let's talk a little bit about the societal norms. You know,
Sure.
there are so many norms that exist that God come from generations and generations before us that have taught our men that is just not cool. It's not cool to talk about feelings. It's not cool to admit if we're struggling. But honestly, you know, as a woman who's in the dating world, I have to say that the one thing that I think makes a man so sexy, and I would venture to guess, and if there's any women out there, please chime in the comments here. I would venture to guess that they would agree with me that there is something very sexy about a man who is self aware, who has the courage to be vulnerable and authentic, and just be who they are without trying to look good, you know, fuel the ego.
Mhm.
So I guess for me, tell us maybe a little bit about what you've seen in your practice with men when it comes to their level of self-awareness, because I think that's at the heart of the ability to be vulnerable and authentic.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what it really boils down to? And it's really, it's the simplest answer. And it seems so obvious, but not. And I think it comes down to most men know how they feel and would love to be able to express themselves, or should I say, to be able to allow themselves to express themselves. But I think society as a whole is still so petrified of what other people will think of them.
Think of them. Yeah.
And I always say, the day my life changed for the best possible way was when I stopped giving a about what other people thought of me.
Proud of you. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I just turned 50 and we have this saying, the F it 50s. Like, you
Yeah,
just don't care. At a
yeah,
certain point, you're just like, I am so sick of trying to make everybody happy.
right.
The
Are
only
you
thing
making
that
you
matters
happy?
is me. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
now I would imagine that when you get a client who
Mhm.
wants to work with you and
Right.
and they see what's possible and they're like, T, help me transform. I
Mhm.
would imagine that you run up against a couple of different individuals who might not be self-aware.
Yeah.
How do you go about trying to support a guy that's just not aware of his own, I guess, self?
Well, number one, and this goes for, and you as an entrepreneur and all the entrepreneurs that are listening to me know this to be true. You don't want to accept everybody who wants to work with you.
Right.
You really need to have that filtering process, so to speak. Number one, to know that you can help them. It's in your ability to give them what they need. But number two, are they in it as well for the right reason?
Right.
Right? You need to know somebody's why. The best example I can give is when I'll ask somebody, okay, why do you want to do this? Why is it so important to you?
Right.
And so you get male number one. Well, T, I just think that if I could get shredded and I could get abs like you, every single woman that ever denied me and threw me away are gonna come flocking. They're gonna knock my door down next to right.
That's not a good motive.
No. And you know what? Number one, that's really not the starting point that I even want to get involved with. I would truly recommend, a different coach for
Yeah.
that person.
Yeah.
But number two is that this individual, if they even did accomplish that goal
Yeah.
and got shredded, they would be sorely disappointed because what they thought might happen
Yeah.
isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I get turned down now more in the dating scene than when I used to have 35 more pounds of body fat and long hair.
Wow. It's interesting.
It just is what it is. So,
Yeah.
you get that one person that's solely like, oh, I'm gonna be this fake alpha, and I say fake alpha because your mind's not right. So you can't
Right.
you can't be an alpha if your mind is weak, but you're putting on that narcissistic um, mask
Right.
because it's what you think people are going to respect you for. right?
Right.
But then you have male number two,
Yeah.
right? And I said, okay, thank you so much for coming to me. I'm happy to talk to you. What can I do for you? Why are you here? And they said, well, T, I just had my physical.
Mm.
And my doctor just told me that if I don't lose 30 pounds, I am at risk for a heart attack, and I'm pre-diabetic, and my wife just had a brand new baby, and I want to be around for my child.
Yeah.
I will do anything I possibly can in my power to help male number two
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
achieve their goals, and I truly believe, and just throwing this out there, the
Yeah.
majority of my clients are female.
I want to
Yeah.
highlight that for
Yeah,
people.
the majority of my clients are female, and I think that it's so important to illustrate that, because women, as you know, we can match energy.
Yeah.
I went through Kundalini and with massage therapy and meditation mastery and everything, so women know how to match energy, and
Mhm.
they feel a good soul, no matter what gender, right? Whereas you have a lot of men, especially male number one,
Mhm.
illustrated that their ego, jealousy, and insecurity comes out, and so I'll never work with him. I'm never going to work with that guy, only because they're intimidated by what I was able to put myself through, right? But women, women can tell if I'm a shit human being without having to,
Yeah.
it's that so that's why I think that the majority of my clients are women, because it's just, you don't have that whole fake alpha thing, that the whole ego that you get with a lot of men, which is exactly why they need to hear this conversation that we're
Yeah.
talking about today.
What would you say is the number one complaint that you hear from your male clients?
In what regard? Mindset or
Um,
physical?
like they come to you and they have a complaint about, it could just be like, a chronic complaint. I'm thinking more like physical, because they're coming to you
Mhm.
for a physical transformation with their body. Like,
Right.
what is it that they want? Is it the six pack abs? Is it the
Honestly,
yeah,
the majority is all vanity.
vanity?
There
Oh,
is
wow.
so that's why I get so fired up and
Yeah,
so excited when I'm introduced to somebody who wants it for the right reason.
great reasons versus the wrong.
Because the nothing lights me up more than on a Monday, my new client getting their first taste of results and being ecstatic,
So
you
great.
know. And it's not the whole, well, I'll do it hard for 1 week,
And
but
then,
week number 2, I can't see my abs yet. So your program doesn't work. You're horrible. I'm not doing this anymore.
yeah.
You know.
So I've done a lot of self development work with Landmark and Tony Robbins,
Mm.
and like for years. And I know how uncomfortable it is for people to step outside of their comfort zone.
Mhm.
Especially, I mean, it really does take something to do any kind of like course where you're looking in the mirror, right? It's like a lot of people want to stay in their comfort zone, and it's like a comfortable couch. They don't want to get away from that. And actually, it's that kind of playing small that can rob us from what our potential is and our growth.
Yeah.
You say, and I just want to quote you. You say you have to be open to transformation. How do you help your clients open their minds to transformation and consider what's possible?
Well, you really have to dig deep and, again, find out why they're considering this in the first place.
The why. The
Because
why
you
is
need to peel those layers back, especially if somebody is guarded and need a little bit of time to open up to you. But you have to be good at shutting up and listening to what they have to say.
yeah, yeah,
Because a lot of people who really want something, but they're still insecure or embarrassed to say
mhm,
it,
mhm,
you need to learn how to decipher code words,
right,
because a lot of times people hide behind certain code words and certain things that they say. In my mind, I'm like, oh God, they've really been hurt.
yeah,
How can I right? And what I always tell people is, it's like, come to me, I'll tell you exactly what I've been through. And even right now, not to get into anything too, you know, but I recently have been going through something that was absolutely soul crushing, and you're human,
Yeah.
right? So I think a lot of people, a lot of men, don't stop and think that just because you're working on yourself doesn't mean that you're immune
Yeah.
to hurt, to heartbreak. No, you're human.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things that I always say is, even Superman is Clark Kent most of the time,
Yeah.
right? So I'm 100% able to sit here and say there is no greater pain that I have ever experienced on this earth, even just to this day,
Yeah.
when the person that you love more than anything in this world takes that love away and
Yeah.
doesn't feel the same for you anymore, seemingly overnight. And you have two options. You could either self destruct,
Yeah.
or you could do whatever you possibly can to accept it. And it doesn't mean that you're not allowed to hurt.
Right.
Absolutely. You're absolutely allowed to hurt and
Right.
cry, let it out.
Yeah.
It's okay. This whole idea of a man is not supposed to cry is horseshit.
Exactly.
When something traumatic happens, and I'm using that term,
Yeah.
generally, because it truly is traumatic when something
Yeah.
turns your world upside down, right?
Yeah. Sure.
You need a release valve.
Yeah.
You need a release valve. And there's a positive release valve,
Yeah.
which is being vulnerable, being able to open up, being able to talk to people you trust, being able to be authentic with your feelings. And then there's the negative release valve,
Yeah.
which is
The
I
unhealthy
could have
ways.
done 15 years ago
Yeah.
and find the nearest bottle of vodka and
Yeah.
call it a day,
Yeah.
right? And nowadays, we see on TV every single day there are far worse things than vodka that people are using as
Yeah. Oh
outlets.
my goodness.
You know,
To numb how they're feeling. It makes complete sense. I always said that there is no health without mental health. And I know that you focus a lot on physical health. But I would imagine that you have to also help them with their mindset. And you actually said, I coach in mindset. So, how do you help them when with their mindset?
well, number one, you have to make everyone realize that if there's something that needs to be fixed up here or in here,
Mhm.
you're not fixing anything down here.
Right.
So, I think the biggest challenge for myself to get through to certain clients is just making them feel that it's actually possible.
It's possible.
Now there's a difference between knowing something's possible, but truly believing
Yeah.
that it's possible.
Not for me. Maybe for that guy over there. Not for
Yeah,
me. Right.
right,
Like,
right.
believe.
That's my favorite thing. Well, T, you're different.
Yeah. You're a unicorn.
No, okay, you want to know why I'm different? Because I decided to do it and I did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I mean, and I'm going to say this right up front because
Mhm.
another one of the most common questions that I get asked by I love referring. So we got male number one, who's the narcissist, and we got male number two, who's the the genuine awesome dude. One of the most common questions I get asked from male number one is, so T, what can I take?
With the eye.
Right?
What can
Like
I
you
say?
could take time, you son of a it's like you're thinking that I'm going to tell you, oh, just jump on testosterone and D-ball and you're going to look just like me. Right?
Yeah.
No, it's like, dude,
Yeah.
and I think society as a whole, and again, I don't want to
I
use
know.
any kind of trigger words, but I think
Sure.
that especially nowadays, people are more concerned with a something synthetic
Yeah.
to cure them, and no respect for their own physical health. A great example is I was at the gym the other day, and in the locker room, this clinically obese man, right, who, if you just saw him at the gym without him opening his mouth, I would say, God bless this guy. He's here.
Yes.
God bless this dude. He's friggin' here.
He's here.
However, a lot of people seem incredibly stupid once they open their mouth. And this guy is talking to other people in the locker room about how he just went to the doctor and got 3, chemicals. So I should be fine. And then proceeded to tell them how incredible his McDonald's run was after the doctor.
Oh, wow.
And in my mind, I'm going,
it's a quick fix. Society's quick fix, right? Like, do this and do that.
But it's not real.
Yeah.
Because you could think you're doing something correct, right?
Right.
It's like doing something that could possibly help you and then completely peeing in the wind.
Yes.
5 minutes later, it's like going to the gym, suffering on a Stairmaster for an hour, burning so many calories, and then going home and eating an entire stick of butter, out of the just like, I don't understand this philosophy here. Like you went to the doctor because you did something you thought was going to be good for you, and then proceeded to just completely shit all over yourself by your next step.
I think so, and that's a very extreme example, but I think though, when I reflect on, we all are going to trip up when we take on something. That part is normal, right? Like, and so there used to be this saying, like, if you tripped on the stairs, would you throw yourself down the whole flight of stairs, or would you just pick up and keep going, right? Like, hello. So my next question to you is really around the discipline piece, because, new year, new you, it seems to always fly around this month of January. I'm going to get it this year, So how do you work to help your clients stay in action and keep up good momentum?
You need to use positive reinforcement. Don't focus on the stuff that they effed up this week. You got to focus on the wins.
The wins.
Yeah. Right? If a new client has followed my nutrition advice all week, but maybe was only active one day, and we like to be active at least maybe 3, right?
Yeah.
We don't focus on the, dude, what the hell?
Yeah, the beating up.
2 more days. You need 2 more freaking days. You expect this to work? What's wrong with you? No, I praise them for staying within the nutrition guidelines that I gave them. That is something that they haven't done in potentially decades. And just coming to me and having me react that way, I think makes them feel, number one, they feel so much more comfortable approaching me about things.
Right.
And that's number one. They need to be comfortable asking you for things, for help, right? Because if you make them uncomfortable, they're never going to want to contact you.
Yeah. And ask you for support. Yeah.
Right. So the whole point is, it's like you need to just keep pointing out the things that they're doing incredibly. Right. And then, of course, I'll add to it. Okay, awesome. What's your schedule like this week? Let's see if we could at least get one more session in this week. You're doing awesome. Let's keep up this momentum, but let's see if we can add one more this week, because I really want you to be happy next Monday when you do a check-in,
Awesome.
But you really need to focus on that positive, because as soon as they shut off, you might not get them back.
And habits are hard to unlearn, right? If you've been eating, X for 6 years consistently at the same time every day, and then you say, hey, try this, it's definitely going to be an adjustment. I think we have to I'm a big proponent of give yourself grace. I always say that, because, it's a journey. It's not it's not going to happen overnight. You have to just get on the journey. Yeah.
Well, and also, that's always the It's always the rebuttal that I use when people are like, "Oh, well, T, I want to start after the holidays," and I'm just like, "So you're never going to enjoy another holiday in your life?"
Yeah.
Or how about I teach you how to enjoy the holidays just as much while you're still
Enjoying it.
rocking these goals, and there's, you know, there's such a misconception
Mhm.
about food,
Yeah.
what you can eat, what you can't eat, and I use that loosely, what you can or what you can't.
Mhm.
And you know, it really boils down to, if you understand what a serving is, you would be amazed
I know.
what you can accomplish. There's a
You
difference
know,
between, they're like, "Oh, T, you still could eat pizza?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." Notice I said pizza, not a pizza. There's a big difference, just that little thing. So I'm not taking anything away from you. I'm just sparing you the heartburn of savaging an entire pizza.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So you had questions for me, and it's so funny because, like I said, no one ever comes on and asks me questions. But recently, I've gotten feedback like, "Hey, Michelle, why don't you talk more? Why don't
Yeah,
you, tell your side of the story?" So I guess we're going to do this. I guess if you have some questions, you do have a few here. You were
yeah,
asking me about.
yeah,
You want to ask your questions, and I'll do
yeah.
it.
I think what would be a really good, uh, to get your perspective on, is kind of like the opposite. I gave the male perspective. Now I would love
Yeah,
your perspective,
yeah,
especially, being a single woman, being on the dating scene, having to deal with people that are not authentic whatsoever.
right.
What have you discovered, even in just recent history, is really the number one, um, I would say the number one thing that holds guys back? Is it, you think they're trying to put on a mask and appear as who they think
Mhm.
you would want them to be, or are they afraid? Like, what do you think the biggest thing you run into these days when it comes to men not being their authentic self in front of you?
So there's a couple of things. So I would say it's, a lot of guys that I encounter want me to know what they have or what they can do for me, right? And that is like honestly the last thing I want. I
Mhm,
really want to know who they are as a person, and I
mhm,
want to know what they appreciate, what's great in their life. You know, I don't necessarily like the, let me give you, 101 reasons why I am the most amazing thing on the planet. Like, just be you. Just be you. Be vulnerably you. Be Now I'm not saying like, hey, right away, because that would be a little weird. But
right, right, right.
but like, be you, be you, and have good stuff going on in your life. So it's not like, I've asked a guy, on unfortunately I'm on dating apps. I've asked
Mm,
men, what's good in your life right now? Like what's good? What do you have going on right now that's so great? I want to know about it.
mm,
You, I'm talking to you.
yeah,
And then I just go, wow, like you're talking to me. That's what's so great in your life. Like, okay. So that always frustrates me. Like, I really think that men just need to be themselves. They need to have their own self awareness. They need to have their own life in order. They need to be healthy mentally, physically. That's just my perspective.
right, right. But now, on that same token,
Uh-huh.
and I know I have my theory about this,
Uh-huh.
but do you think that it is the idea that they think that you will think they're less of a man
That's
if they
society.
share if they
Yeah.
share certain things?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think we're up against what our men have been raised as little boys by their father and their grandfather. You rub a little dirt on it and move on. You just keep you just don't acknowledge.
Right.
And that's scary. That's scary. So it's like I don't want to blame the collective male population because I recognize that being honest and open and even doing the work and wanting to talk, there's nothing more amazing than when a man actually wants to open up and talk. Like, That's amazing. That's like that says you're confident in who you are. Like that's really sexy. When you're confident in who you are and you're willing to like just be like, "Hey, yeah, like I got this going on. Like let me bounce it off you." Like
Mhm.
that's amazing. That would be incredible.
Well, but that's showing your soul, it's physical will fade,
Yeah.
especially if you find out that what might be beautiful on the outside is pretty damn ugly on the inside.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
so true. So true. And you this other question was pretty funny. I was laughing about. Um, so this is you said from a woman's perspective, what do you think the biggest hurdle a man has to overcome in order to be willing to accept his shortcomings and take
Yep.
action? Because this to me was really all about the guy that you described in the gym who was getting the drugs and eating the McDonald's. You can't,
Right.
there's no shortcuts. Listen, there's no shortcuts. We live in such a immediate gratification, society. We can get anything at our fingertips, especially where we live in New York, New Jersey, anything, anytime, right? But I say like there's nothing more appealing than someone who puts in the work, who recognizes, I got to put in the work not only for my body but also for my mind and for my level of self awareness because I want to be a full, healthy human being that I bring to the table.
Right.
And that also means seeking out others who have done the work, who you can lean and learn from, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm an entrepreneur. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So what did I do? I found a coach. My coach found me the mastermind, right? Then I find a community of people. Like go get the support from the people who have gone where you have gone so that
Right.
your journey maybe doesn't have to be as hard. So that's
Right.
just my perspective.
Right. And that also boils down to a lot of the times, I have people who want to be a coach, but they won't pay for a coach themselves. And I
Right.
always say, wait, if you won't invest
Yes.
in a coach, why should anybody invest in you?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Um, but it's true. It's true. There's again, there's that whole wanting to put themselves on a pedestal
Right. Right.
as opposed to, hey, how about you just open your heart, try and help as many people as you can,
Mhm.
and people are going to speak for you. You're
Yeah.
not going to have to talk yourself up because people are going to speak for you.
Yeah, it's so true. And I have never regretted any kind of investment I've ever done in myself. I've heard people and their objections, oh, oh, I don't have the money, I don't have this. Well, like, do you want to build a better you? I mean, in my opinion, like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result, right? Like, and
Right.
if you're not getting results, there's definitely an opportunity for you to be thinking, how do I invest in myself to become the better version of me to accomplish the goals that I have in my mind?
Right. Right. And again, I think it just comes down to again the fragile male ego, right? And I know women sometimes do this too, but but the fragile male ego oftentimes doesn't want to admit that they need help.
Right.
And I think that is a huge, huge deal that really is holding them back from any kind of transformation because are you serious or curious?
Mhm.
You need to really be able to just drop that guard, drop
Yeah.
that ego and say, you know what, this is my ultimate goal, this is what I want to achieve, but I don't know how to get there on my own.
Yeah.
Or maybe you do have an idea how to get there on your own, but you absolutely won't unless you have somebody cracking the proverbial whip on you every day.
There were two things I wanted to mention and I haven't, and I'm just looking at the clock and I'm like, oh my goodness, I could talk to you forever.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but one of the things that I learned doing Date with Destiny with Tony Robbins was around the masculine feminine energy. That conversation was riveting for me. Like I loved it. And I remember learning how, for women, we live in a society that teaches us that we can do anything that men do. And I believe that we have the ability to do a lot, absolutely. But at the same rate, we also take on masculine energy, and masculine energy up against masculine energy doesn't work. So I loved the tip that him and Sage, that Tony and Sage gave us, about like women need to drop back into their feminine so there can be the yin and the yang. If they are so, very, masculine in the boardroom, and then they come home and they're the same way in the bedroom, like that doesn't work. And I loved learning that, because it just reminded me your essence of who you are is so important to have if you want to create a better relationship. So I'm not saying like don't be assertive, but it's just we have to remember as women to drop back into our feminine so that we can have
Mhm.
a better rapport with our masculine counterpart.
Which I absolutely agree. But again, and I have to take it back to just what I see constantly, with men doing wrong, so to speak. And you always have to ask yourself, is a woman taking on that masculine energy because their partner isn't capable of it?
Yeah, that too. That happens, right?
And
Or
that is,
yeah,
that's what breaks my heart, because it's
yeah,
like, dude, especially, do you love this person, right? And if you love this person, leave your ego at the door.
yeah,
You really have to understand her wants, her needs, her desires in order to have that
yeah,
synergy.
yep,
You know?
absolutely.
It's not all about you. That's why I say it all the time, especially with my, we won't get too detailed into it, but with my like the sexual energy course and everything that I do in that sense. And I always say, you want to know the number one trick to start improving your sex life with your significant other? I will give you the golden ticket right now. You want to know what it is? It's not about you.
I think,
Start being concerned
yeah,
with how she is feeling in the moment, and stop giving a crap only about how you are feeling in the moment, because the better you make her feel, the better she's going to feel, and the more she's going to want to reciprocate. So it's not about you. So that's why this whole conversation is really coming full circle with,
yeah,
you need to drop that fragile male ego and
yeah,
understand that the more vulnerable, more authentic, the more open, the more honest,
yeah,
the more communicative you can be,
yeah.
it's going to improve all areas of your life so drastically, and you're going to see it instantaneously,
Yeah,
more or less.
yeah.
Right?
It's
And again, it's just that switch, that mindset that as soon as you flip that switch, so many amazing things can happen. But it's up to you to say, this is what I want, and I am going to do anything I have to do
it's
in a
also
relationship.
it's also to the belief that you have that you go to a relationship to give versus you go to a relationship to get.
Right, right.
And in
Because
all aspects, right? A lot of people think that, like, what am I going to get from this relationship? It's really about what are you going to give? And if both people are giving, then isn't that a beautiful thing?
it's a two-way street. If
Right?
if when someone does something from their heart for you,
Yeah.
you're going to want to do something in return,
Right.
right? And it's and as long as the person isn't doing it in order to expect something in return,
Oh, of course. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's a different
There's
story.
no
And
motive.
again,
Yeah.
like I said at the beginning, you know, if both the man and the woman are open to it, energy doesn't lie.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
you know darn well that this man is giving you this gift because he loves you unconditionally, not because tomorrow he's going to drop the bomb on you and
Yeah.
say, "Hey, I'm going on a golf trip for the weekend,"
Yeah.
and doesn't want you to be pissed off,
Buttering you up. Yeah.
right? I did
Yeah.
things just to make
Yeah.
her smile.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
didn't want anything in return. I just making her smile lit me up. It was something that to this day, when I still contact am in contact, I still want her to smile. I don't,
Mhm. That's awesome.
regardless.
Mhm.
So it really all comes down to wanting, truly wanting,
Mm-hmm.
right, to be that completely transformed, and complete person,
I love
and
it.
and allowing yourself the permission to open yourself up and say, I will do everything I need to do
Right. So
in order
great.
to achieve that.
I love it, T. I love it. All right. We are at the end of our time. We've had
Oh, wow, that was fast.
stopping by, but I want to ask, I want people to know sort of what you're up to next. You mentioned this sexual energy thing that you're doing.
Right.
Tell people what you're up to and how they can connect with you.
Absolutely. Well, I love people to connect with me either on Instagram. I answer everything personally. It's never going to be an automated message getting back to you. I love talking to people. But right now I'm working on releasing pretty much the complete male transformation coaching program, because I've been working so much with my female rock stars, and I love them, and I am continuing to do so. But especially after you and I talked, especially about this subject,
Yeah.
I knew that there was something that I had to do to offer whatever I possibly could, and just extend that invitation to, hey, come on, man, you're safe with me. Let's tackle this together. So that's going to be released next month. It's going to be incredible. Just the complete male mind and body transformation program, completely one-on-one. You have access to me 24/7. And I will be the Virgil to your Dante. Let me guide you through Inferno to Paradiso. Um,
Awesome.
I'm also just really revamping a lot of 2022 in terms of making everything that I teach even easier for my male and female clients to sustain, to be happy, because that's what it's all about.
Yes.
You don't want to make a transformation to be miserable.
No.
So,
Absolutely.
and you have those myths that if you want to take control of your health and fitness, you have to spend 3 hours a day in a gym, and you have to eat foods that taste like sawdust, but come to me. I will show you how to eat food you love, how to work out around your busy boss lifestyle, and still get amazing results. So happy to talk to anybody and everybody. Just come say hello.
We have some people here watching, and I just want to acknowledge Doc because he's been here and he's made some comments. So he's in agreement with what we're saying, which is really great. Thanks for stopping by. I just want to thank everyone for stopping by. There's been a lot of people, a lot of activity, and I really appreciate anyone that takes the time during their day to join us. Enrique's here. Thank you, Enrique, for watching. It's been great to have this conversation with you, T. I'm so grateful to know you, and I look forward to following your success and the difference you're making for so many people. You too. Thank you so much for having me. I'm sure we're going to be doing this again sometime. I'm sure. All right, my friend. I'll see you later. Take care. Okay. Bye.